So it's been brought up to my attention that a lot of people who've been tuning into my videos who I actually know have like a minor understanding with JJK, let's say. So basically, they asked me to cover like, hey, you're talking a lot about like in-depth stuff and you're breaking that down. But what if I just have not caught up to that many episodes and or like the movie and or season 2 and definitely not in the manga, right? And I'm like, cool. Like that's not a bad thing at all. Like I get it. Life be happening. I be talking about it. But I should have done that already. You know, I should have broke that down for you so that you had the original understanding of what to do, like of what JJK is before we got into certain things in JJK. So my bad on that. However, it made me think about something else, right? It made me think about what about everybody who's watching JJK and like who has these questions about like what's going on in JJK, and like all my other videos are helping with that. But what about the people who are like, okay, so here's where we ended in season 2. What's next? Because last thing I saw was Yuji hitting up and then some transfigured humans coming up from behind him. What does that lead into, right? And so I should be breaking down like what's coming next, right? Because a lot of stuff was spoken about at the last episode with Kenjaku and Yuki, and a lot of that stuff could be confusing, right? So let's start off with episode 0 and breaking down JJK, so we're all gonna get caught up together. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna break down episode 0 in this video. Then we're gonna do a video breaking down season 1, all the episodes, all the key highlights you need from the episodes, and then we're gonna break down season 2. And I'm gonna do a 2-parter for season 2 because they go back in time so that we get a little bit of Gojo, a little bit of Toji, and then they come back to present day. So I'm gonna do a 2-part for season 2. We're gonna do the hidden inventory arc, and then we're gonna do actual Shibuya incident. All right. So there's gonna be 4 videos breaking down everything about JJK up to the end of season 2, and then we're gonna do a 5th video talking about what is actually about to occur in 2025 when we get the Culling Games. Okay. So basically, take these 4 videos as the videos of what you need to know before we get to the Culling Games, which is season 3 of JJK. And basically, this is going to catch you up completely so that if you just watch these 4 videos and then started season 3, you'd know exactly where you'd be at starting season 3 of JJK, okay? But before we get into all that, do me the favor, guys, because this is about to be a lot of explaining and I need a reward for it. So like the video, subscribe to the channel, people. Please help me out and subscribe. And then hit the noti bell because these videos are going to be dropping. Like I said, 4 videos covering all of JJK that just occurred. And then we have the video covering what's to come. Okay, so that's 5 videos. All right. So hit the noti bell so you don't miss any of it. All right. So let's go ahead and start off with episode 0 with Yuta and Rika and how episode 0 began. So to give you an introduction of who our main character in episode 0 is, we have Yuta Okkotsu. So Yuta was supposed to be the MC of JJK. However, Gege transferred Yuta to like a side MC and made, kind of like how Gojo is, and made Yuji Itadori the new MC. So he'll be on the wall at some point. So with Yuta being the MC of current present day in episode 0, right? Because Yuji's not in the story yet. Let's go ahead and treat him as like the MC basically, because he is in the movie. Yuta is a part of like a long distant descendant of Gojo, right? Recently in the manga we found out that Yuta has more blood of the Gojo family, like of the purest blood of like jujutsu than even Gojo. So like they descend from the Fujiwara and the Sugawara. I believe it's the Sugawara. I forgot the second family. But the Fujiwara and the Sugawara were back in the Han era where Ryomen Sukuna basically like was dominating and everything. And Yuta basically has more blood of all 3 families than anybody else, right? So he has kind of like the purest blood because it's not really like the blood of the 3 families. It's more of the blood of the original families. So Yuta basically has a lot of potential having that bloodline, basically. So let's get that background of him out of the way, and like let's get right into what episode 0 is now. So I have my notes right here, so you might hear me flip the page at one point, but I gotta keep it chronological of how the movie plays out. It starts off with Yuta not having control of Rika, and Rika is his lover, who wasn't really his lover because they were kids. So they were kids. Rika got into a car accident. Yuta, having this descendant like bloodline, he has a lot of power that he doesn't know about. So when he was a child and she died right in front of him from the car accident when they were crossing the street, because he's so powerful but he's so young at that point that he doesn't realize it, he curses her death. So when he cursed her death, she became a cursed spirit that was manifested from Rika herself. So her soul's inhabiting this cursed spirit. I forgot the name of what that is. It's a specific type of cursed spirit. You could go to my cursed spirits explained video in order to see it, because I go right back to Rika in that video. But for right now, it's a cursed spirit, and she's extremely powerful because it's Yuta cursing her. It's not like an average Joe cursing her. Like if I curse somebody, they're not going to turn into a cursed spirit because I don't have nearly as much cursed energy as Yuta. Yuta has more cursed energy than Gojo. Yuta has more cursed energy than anybody in the series except for Sukuna. That's literally the only person that has more cursed energy than Yuta. So that bloodline that he belongs to, this is literally the whole reason why he's so powerful. So Yuta, obviously this is why he was supposed to be our MC. He's so goddamn powerful. So Yuta cursed her death, right? So now she's a cursed spirit that hangs out with him, but he doesn't realize this. He doesn't know why she's a cursed spirit hanging out with him. All he knows is he's a scared kid, right? So now he's going through life with her being along his side. He goes to high school, and in high school he's getting bullied, and he's trying to stop Rika from like interacting with these bullies because they're trying to shove him into a locker. So she mangles them and shoves them into a locker. And at this point, Jujutsu High, Tokyo Jujutsu High specifically, finds out about Yuta and Rika, and they send Gojo to go capture him, and they basically say, yo, we need to put execution order on this dude because he is way too strong for no reason whatsoever. He doesn't belong to any of the Jujutsu families, right? And obviously he does, but they don't know that yet. And so Gojo basically stands up for him and says, no, we're not doing this. He pulls the same thing with Yuji. We're not doing this. Let's find out what's up with him. So he basically tells Yuta he has two options. You live with us or you get executed. What do you want to do? And Yuta's like, I kind of don't want to get executed, but like at the same time I tried executing myself. That didn't work. If you're telling me that there's hope, then I guess I'll have to take it. And so he goes with Gojo, right? So this is the part where you might have seen it like on social media and everything, where Yuta walks into the classroom after Gojo says like we have a new student, and it's Toge and Amaki, Panda, and Maki Zenin in there, right? And Yuta takes a step foot into the classroom, and you just sense the amount of cursed energy this kid has. And you also get a sense for Rika, right behind him, and they actually see her, and she's like, what, you see me? I don't really hang out with sorcerers, so I've never seen before. This is wild, you see me, wow. And then they react, and they pull out their weapons and whatnot, and say like, yo, you're cursed, right? And Yuta's like, but what is going on? And then basically Gojo then explains, as Gojo truly does, saves everything for like last minute. Gojo explains to them, like to Yuta specifically, hey, welcome to Tokyo Jujutsu High. This is what we do. This is what cursed spirits are. We exercise them. You're going to be a jujutsu sorcerer. And then everybody's like, now you're telling him? Really? Really? And then he's like, my bad. And so he says, yo, you guys should move away from him. Rika comes out, kind of messes them up real quick. We don't see it, but, it happens. Moving on from there, we go to the next main thing that happens. So Maki and Yuta are sent out on a mission because Geto is the main villain in this he's the main antagonist in episode 0. So Geto finds out about Rika at the same time that Tokyo Jujutsu High's higher-ups find out about Rika, and they're basically like, yo, we need to go ahead and, contain Rika. And Geto's like, I want Rika because she's powerful, so I need her. And so the two opposing forces are the higher-ups wanting to execute and contain Rika, And Geto's like, I want to get her so we could, like, you know, start a war with her. And then Gojo's over here, like the middle guy, saying, I want to train him so that he could learn how to use her and so that he could help people. And so he sends Maki and Yuta on a mission to the school because 2 kids went missing because Geto released the cursed spirit inside the school and it ate them. So, point of it all, they get eaten. Gojo's hanging in the background, basically watching it to see how it plays out. Maki gives Yuta a really, like, you know, inspiring speech of why he's a jujutsu sorcerer and, like, you know, to, like, find that motivation to help people. Yuta finds it, like, connects with Rika. He puts the ring on finally that he was wearing as a necklace. This ring is the ring that Rika gave Yuta, saying that in the future we're gonna get married when they were just kids. I think they were 10. And basically he's able to imbue cursed energy from Rika into this ring in order to use her power. So once he actually put the ring on, he had access to Rika's power now. So Rika was finally able to fully manifest for the first time ever and quickly made, like, absolute quick work of this cursed spirit. Like, absolute dog water, this cursed spirit. She's a special grade curse. Easily mopped this cursed spirit, which I think was a grade 2 spirit. I don't remember. I think it was grade 2. It was huge, though. So she fully manifests. Gojo's like, wow, she's kind of terrifying. And then the higher-ups kind of scold Gojo, saying, oh, what would have happened if she went out of control? Gojo said, yo, I would have risked my life to stop her. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Chill out. And then moving forward from that, we get a cool scene of Gojo actually before he walks out of the office with the higher-ups and says, oh, by the way, if you guys try to execute Yuta, just remember, I'm a side with Yuta. So you can't handle that, basically. And then Gojo thinks, like, how Gojo does is like, okay, if I just got threatened that this guy might get executed, I gotta help him get stronger so that if I'm not around, they don't pull anything funny and he could actually hang, you know. So he introduces Yuta to cursed weapons. He chooses a katana. That's why we see Yuta with katana. Yuta starts training with Maki on how to use the katana. We get some cool fighting scenes with them. And then moving forward, we see Toge and Maki and Yuta Okkotsu go on to a mission together. Really simple mission. It's supposed to be really simple. We learn from Maki in the previous mission that cursed spirits, if they huddle together like a squad, they are weaker. And they need the numbers in order to fight, basically. So quantity over quality in that aspect. If you see one cursed spirit, chances are, if it doesn't have multiple, then it's quality over quantity, and it's a lot stronger. We see both these examples in this mission with Toge and Yuta. Geto's there in the background. They don't realize it. They walk into this area. They see a bunch of, like, fish cursed spirits, and Inamaki makes quick work of them with his ability of using cursed speech. So he destroys the cursed spirits. Yuta's amazed because cursed speech is amazing. He realizes that it drains his voice pretty quickly and it's quite exhausting. Then Geto sets a veil on top of the veil that was already there. So once the previous veil that the good guys basically set fades away, Geto's is still there, not allowing them to leave. He then releases a semi-first grade cursed spirit upon the good guys, which is Yuta and Toge. And basically, they, you know, we see that Yuta is able to imbue, using the ring, he's able to imbue his katana with cursed energy and able to combat against this semi-first grade cursed spirit. And Toge then uses his, it's like his throat medication. And then they defeat the cursed spirit, and Geto sees it and gets amused, right? But he wanted to see Rika, and Yuta didn't let it out because Gojo said, hey, since we're being watched, do not go ahead and release Rika out there. Don't let her manifest, alright? So Yuta sticks to that, doesn't manifest Rika, and basically they defeat the semi-first grade spirit. And then we go ahead and see what Geto's been up to while he's been away from the Jujutsu Society. He's basically acting as a monk. If somebody comes in with like a cursed spirit on their shoulder or something, causing them pain, he takes a cursed spirit until he's basically been gathering up an army, right? So he's got 2,000 cursed spirits. He's claiming he released them upon Kyoto and Tokyo during the war. But before we get to the war, we get to see his group. We get to get introduced to a couple of them. And basically, Geto's been using curses to force this millionaire to pay him so that he would release the curses from him. And then he would just bring them back on top of him until he drained him of all his money. And then he let the curses devour the millionaire. So, that being said, we move on to Geto meeting Yuta for the first time. Geto meets Yuta, tells him his plan. about like making it that the world only has cursed users or cursed sorcerers basically, and Yuta's not so down with it, especially after Geto insults Maki. Gojo and the other cadre pull up and say, yo, get away from the students. Geto's like, hey, night parade of 100 demons coming soon, so we're going to war. At that point, Gojo's not so thrilled about it. Principal Yaga is definitely not thrilled about it. Gojo tries to stop Geto from leaving by just talking to him, and Geto's like, nah, you remember your students are well within my range, and I could take them out if I want to. After that, Geto and his crew leave. Flash forward to the war. It's called the Night Parade of 100 Demons, and we see Gojo in thought because he's wondering where's Suguru Geto. He knows this guy, and this guy's not here. He loves the flashy battle atmosphere. Why is he not here? And Geto is actually infiltrating Tokyo Jujutsu High to get to Rika through Yuta by executing Yuta, and then he could go ahead and exercise Rika. But he can't do this yet because Maki's there, and so he encounters Maki. At the same time, basically the sorcerers are taking care of the spirits at Tokyo and Kyoto. So Gojo finds out his plan because one of the cadre come up to Gojo and says, hey, this is the information about Yuta and his lineage. And Gojo figures it all out at that point. He's like, yo, Toge, Panda, I'm gonna go ahead and do a sorcerer circle, and it's gonna amplify my blue in order to warp you all the way over to the school. So I'm gonna do that, protect Yuta and Maki, knowing damn well that they're not good enough to fight Geto because Geto's a special grade cursed user at this point, and they're gonna get whopped. But he doesn't care because he knows that this is gonna enrage Yuta to the point where he unlocks his special grade level, which it does. So this happens where Toge and Panda lose to Geto after Maki loses to Geto, and we get to see the Toge and Panda fight, but we don't see the Maki fight, but we could assume that was quick. Next thing that happens is Rika and Yuta meet Geto, and they get enraged, and they go up against Geto, which at the same time, we see that Gojo and Miguel now start fighting, and Gojo puts on a clinic because he absolutely destroys Miguel. Miguel doesn't die. None of Geto's crewmen die. I think Gojo was kind of making sure of that. So they all survive. We see them in the future, but they all survive in episode 0. While Yuta and Geto are fighting, we see what's happening in Kyoto and in Tokyo. So in Kyoto, we see Nanami fighting it out with a bunch of cursed spirits, and we see him get his record for 4 consecutive black flashes, which is at this point the most black flashes that a sorcerer has hit prior to Yuji being introduced into the series. So Nanami holds the title currently for 4 black flashes in a row, which he gets during the Night Parade of 100 Demons. We also see the Kyoto students working together to fight the cursed spirits, coordinating their attacks, and then we see Aoi Todo, who I just made a video about recently, go ahead and put a clinic on the 5 first grade cursed spirits, which this is where he got that legendary reputation of not using his curse technique versus special grades, but he did use the curse technique Boogie Woogie versus the special grade, but not versus the 5 first grade cursed spirits, which, mind you, everybody would have used their curse technique versus. So Toto is that much of a genius that he's able to combat against, and that much of a freaking gorilla. Like, he's jacked, bro. Like, God bless that he's able to beat them using just his martial arts and cursed energy. So absolutely magnificent clinic that Toto and Nanami put out there. We see Miguel, the African sorcerer, go ahead and fight Gojo, and this is the first sorcerer who's not Japanese. So it's a big thing in jujutsu, because like it was even referenced in season 2 where like the whole plan that only people in Japan would have cursed spirits, or like cursed energy, not cursed spirits, is flawed because we're starting to see sorcerers come out of other countries. So it was a massive thing. I love it. But Gojo and him, like, it was a one-sided fight. If you're fighting Gojo, it's a one-sided fight unless you're Sukuna. So the last things we see is that Rika and Yuta finish off Geto. Geto uses his ultimate technique as an Uzumaki, while Rika and Yuta do a binding vow, basically. Well, actually, kind of like a release of a binding vow. He kind of did a binding vow. So he did do a binding vow. Basically, Yuta and Rika do a binding vow, basically saying that Yuta goes with her to the afterlife. But in realistic sense, this is Yuta releasing the binding vow that he had like enclosed on Rika to keep her soul with us, basically as a cursed spirit. But basically she gives him all his power through a kiss, and then they do a love blast versus the Uzumaki that Geto releases. Before this, we see a bunch of cool aspects of their fight. We see Yuta hit a black flash. We see him use reverse curse technique on Maki, Toge, and Panda, which, mind you, using reverse curse technique on others other than yourself is something that we've only seen from Yuta, Sukuna, and the female in JJK, which, give me a sec, Shoko. Her name is Shoko. She's the medic. She's their medic. We see her being able to use it. But Sukuna taught us in the manga that using reverse curse technique on others other than yourself is only as good as 30% of your reverse curse technique being applied instead of 100% like you could apply on yourself. So you can never heal somebody as good as you could heal yourself, is what he's saying. But basically, we see a bunch of cool stuff in their fight. It's kind of one-sided, but not really, because it's 2-on-1. But at the same time, like, Geto's holding his own during the fight, but at the same time, we see Yuta grow and grow and grow during the fight. So, I don't know. You guys tell me what you think in the comments, if it was one-sided or not, but it could be viewed either way, honestly. After the love blast, because Yuta has so much more cursed energy than Geto, Yuta wipes out his arm and most of his chest is burnt. Then Gojo sees him and they chat for the last time, and then Gojo unalives him. Yuta meets back up with Toge, Panda, and Maki. They chat a little bit. Then Rika appears, ready to, go off back into the heaven, Pure Lands, whatever you want to call it, the afterlife. And then Gojo appears, gives them the breakdown on what Yuta's lineage is. And then everybody's like surprised, and then Yuta's like, oh, cool, I guess. And then Gojo explains how Rika gets to choose basically to either enact retribution for being cursed by Yuta or to just let him go. And she chooses to let him go, but she leaves him with the cursed spirit Rika form. So basically he still has access to Rika. But she doesn't keep the soul of the girl who loved Yuta. But it's still basically the same person, if that makes sense. That's how it ends for episode 0. And then we get a post-credit scene of the future where Yuta and Miguel are training in Africa, but right now they're chilling. And then Gojo pulls up on them. And this is where we see Gojo went when, like in season 1, when they say that Gojo's away on business. He's basically asking Yuta, and we see this in the manga, their conversation. He's asking Yuta to keep eyes on Yuji if anything happens to Gojo, and basically protect him. And everybody else he thinks is going to be okay, but protect Yuji. Yuta's like, you sure anything could happen to you? You're Satoru Gojo. And Gojo's like, no, I'm serious. Like, I'm serious. So this just shows Gojo's intelligence in taking preparation against the higher-ups and whatnot. But yeah, that's episode 0. And that is everything that you either missed or you have not seen yet or you watched but didn't fully understand. I'm starting off chronologically with JJK. So episode 0, then season 1, then actually technically it's season 2, the hidden inventory arc, then episode 0, then season 1, then season 2 Shibuya incident. But hidden inventory arc will be covered in the 3rd video. Next video, we're going to talk all season 1. Alright, I'm going to try to get it in one video under 30 minutes, hopefully in the 20s. Going to try to cut this video down to the 20s as well. This part, for all I know, will get cut out as well. But if you guys have any questions, leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video. Subscribe to the channel, please. And hit the noti bell, because like I said, there's going to be another video discussing season 1, another video discussing the hidden inventory arc, and another video discussing season 2's Shibuya incident. And then guess what? The last video discussing what is to be expected from the Colon games. And that's going to have a lot of talk with the last episode of season 2. So, that being said, I will catch you guys in the next video.